People with epilepsy are facing public seizure stigma and the fear of being filmed. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Rebecca Smith, Deputy CEO of Epilepsy Action, and also Imogen Guthrie, who's experienced a seizure in public. Good afternoon to you both.
Afternoon. Hi.
Afternoon.
First of all, Rebecca, tell us a bit about the sort of issues that we're seeing here.
Well, we're seeing issues that seem to come up time and time again, which is that people with epilepsy are feeling anxious, scared, worried, and having really negative experiences at times when they are in public spaces and they have a seizure. And it feels like so much of this is about lack of understanding from the general public and for people working in certain sectors. And we've created a campaign as part of National Epilepsy Week, really just to highlight some of the issues that are involved.
And with more than 50% of people with epilepsy having avoided public places due to this fear of having a seizure, then it is really concerning that people may find themselves isolated and effectively alone because of the situation. Imogen, what's your experience of this? Because I'm hoping that most of the time your epilepsy is under control, but it's only rare occasions things may not go to plan.
Well, epilepsy is as unpredictable as life. I see it. I just don't know when I'm going to have a fit. And I have one every 3-4 weeks, maybe. They occasionally come in clusters, but fortunate for me, I get warnings. So maybe 3 days in advance, I'll start thinking, oh no, a fit's coming. And sure enough, one happens.
And that obviously is something which is different for everybody, the way in which they experience it. There's obviously different signs. There are things which are similar, but the way people see it, those feelings they get may well differ significantly. So everybody's experience is going to be a bit different. And when it comes to having a fit, obviously many people will experience it in different ways too, and the longevity of that fit could be different between siblings who may have the same condition.
Well, yeah, definitely. My seizures have definitely changed over time. I've had it since 1996. And I started with only having complex partial seizures, 10 a day. And then gradually they started reducing, but came tonic-clonic seizures, which are what I have now.
And Rebecca, it's the reaction to these seizures which can also be an issue with people maybe thinking somebody's drunk or on drugs. And that reaction and almost an instinct people feel they have can just be so far wide of the mark.
Absolutely, and part of the whole thing about raising public awareness is to say, just stop for a moment and understand, don't have preconceptions about what might be wrong with someone. I mean, there's over 200,000 people in the country that will regularly suffer from seizures. Over 600,000 people have epilepsy. So, it's really down to all of us to just take a couple of minutes to understand what that means. And the care campaign that we've launched, which is about understanding the steps to take if someone has a seizure, that's really around the fact that this is not about medical treatment or administering first aid. There's some really simple things people can do in order to support people to feel more confident with epilepsy.
Yeah, because I mean, mostly it is allowing someone to have the fit. This for them is normal. There may be drugs they use to control it, but this is just part of their day-to-day life.
Yeah,
and it comforting, cushioning the head to protect them from injury. That is really the main part of what we would do under normal circumstances. But it does go further than that if there is actually an emergency as well.
Yeah, so we say, we kind of talk about 4 stages, and like you said, the first one is about making sure someone's comfortable. And then the bits where it's, you need to do more is when looking at the action is very much around make sure you've got some idea of the time, how long that seizure is lasting for, and also looking for information on that person. People who have regular seizures will usually carry around information on their phone, on a bracelet, on a lanyard, somewhere on them to explain to you what you need to think about or what you need to do. And then the main thing is you just stay with them and reassure them. There's no restraint. There's no, getting involved in any physical way. This is just about being there. So when they regain consciousness, that they understand where they are and they've got that reassurance. And then the final part is, if it's emergencies, it's basically if a seizure's lasted over 5 minutes, if it's more than one seizure, and also if it seems as if it's the first time someone's had a seizure, that's when you call the ambulance. But apart from that, people live with this condition in the same way as Imogen is talking about. And so we need to let them have that freedom to go about their normal lives.
Yeah, and so it is just part of Imogen's normal life, and obviously you deal with this in your way, and you basically get on with it. You try and avoid letting it stop you doing things, but the concept of somebody then filming you whilst a fit was taking place, that is just abhorrent, isn't it?
Well, sorry. Yeah, it's unfair. You know, where's the dignity? You know, I have a seizure. I want some comfort. I want some reassurance. When I wake from a seizure, I'm very, very scared, embarrassed. I feel ashamed. I've got all my past traumas flashing back to me. I'm confused. And I need reassurance. I need to know there are people around me who care, who want to help. So when I'm told, fortunately for me, I haven't been filmed, but when I've been told by other people that they have been filmed, it just makes me furious.
Absolutely, and you struggled when you've been on an adventure holiday where they didn't take into account what was going on, and the fact that whilst it may be difficult for you at the time, and it may be concerning for those who see you, actually after the event and things have been explained, it should just be a notion of care and concern, and not one of trying to exclude.
Well, exactly. When she called me into the, sorry, excuse me, when she called me into the room and told me I'm scaring people, I shouldn't be doing these holidays, people are scared to be around with me now, I'm not taking care of myself, I'm making everyone responsible for me, I was just absolutely appalled, horrified. And the stress, guess what, triggered another seizure. And so that was the end of my Guatemala experience. You know, I paid thousands of pounds to go on that holiday to hike volcanoes, and I couldn't do it in the end because of all this horrible thing that, you know, the tour guide was saying to me. Companies need to be much better prepared, you know, ready for clients who have epilepsy.
Yeah, because you wouldn't sign yourself up for a potholing experience. That just simply wouldn't happen, because the stress of doing that, it would cause me to have enough issues with claustrophobia, let alone anything else that could go wrong. And you know, you're already working within the condition you have, and you know, you have thought a lot about doing that trip beforehand, and overall, when someone's seen you had a seizure and get up from it, actually, why be scared? They know what happens now, and they know that you may be a little less than chilled afterwards. But other than that, you are fine. This is now back to Imogen, non-seizure version.
Well, exactly. It's like I have an England hiking company I go with, and they're absolutely fabulous, because when I've had seizures with them, they're like, oh, she'll be fine. And sure enough, I'm up and I finished a national 3-peak challenge with them the next day. Because they know what to do, they know who I am, and they don't see me as epilepsy. Whereas everyone else who doesn't train themselves on how to handle seizures, they just follow the stigma, they follow what they see in the movies, just treats us like babies and underestimates us, you know.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be Imogen first, seizures second, and not the other way around. And that's the way anybody who has any different or ability or a condition should be treated. We expect to start off as us, and then there's always interesting and different things about people. And in your case, it is just something which you are coping with, living with, and not letting hold you back. And again, Rebecca, this is the sort of response that we could do with seeing across the board. And it's through better understanding and through the likes of this awareness week that we can start to hopefully get that CARE acronym out there and allow people to understand what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And the rest of the time, let's be normal about all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's stop having it for a charity like Epilepsy Action. Let's stop hearing from people with epilepsy that the most important thing is to raise public awareness, because the most important thing should be to support them with their condition.
And where do we go to find out more about that support and about the awareness campaign?
Yeah, so either Google Epilepsy Action or go to epilepsy.org.uk and you'll find all about the care. There's a great little video on there, 1.5 minutes of anybody's time. It's well spent because it will give you all the basics of how you can support people with epilepsy.
Absolutely. And Imogen, long may your holidaying continue and you get to do what you want to do without people being less than considerate, which is seems to have been the case at some times in the past.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to carry on traveling forever.
Go for it. Imogen Guthrie, somebody who has epilepsy, and Rebecca Smith from the Epilepsy Action team. Thank you both for joining us.